This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where business owners share their wisdom. It's short and to the point to respect people's time, and because we know transforming possibility, that's right, it happens fast and it leads to lasting results. So enough of that. Let's get to it. Question number one. Chip, tell me who you are and what you do.
Brad, I'm Chip Helm. I've been in the medical industry for about 37 plus years. I guess you could say I'm older than dirt. I'm probably your only participant that you've ever had on this unbelievable unlimited business wisdom podcast that actually has a day gig. And I have, I guess you would say, maybe a three-prong approach to businesses. I have what's called side hustles. I have three of them going on at this time. One is, obviously, I'm an author. Very lucky to be an author. I have 2 books published, and I have a third one on its way. I won't get started on it till the end of this fall, but I'll have it completed by the end of 2022. You're one of the first to know. Secondly, I'm a speaker. That's one of my passions. I love going into companies who have inside sales, outside sales, and speaking to any business. And if you think about it, everyone's in sales. So really my topics and my expertise goes across all industries in any kind of business. And then thirdly, I guess you could say I'm a sales expert consultant. I believe that I could bring the companies everything from sales strategies, sales execution, distribution, how to sell, how to set up the proper training, and finally bring in the right sales and refreshing culture.
I love that. Side hustles, so important nowadays, so important. So the numbers are astronomical of the amount of people who are working on side hustles to hit that tipping point, as is said. So, but you've been at this for a while, so you're a little more seasoned than the average. I love it. And I also love, Chip, how you broke that up into 3 different side hustles. So I've heard a lot of people say, I'm a speaker, trainer, coach, and these types of things when they're really different avenues. So I love how you broke that out. And it's just fantastic path that you're on. I'm glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here.
Question number 2, Chip. What's the best thing about being in business? In so many businesses, I should say.
Well, I guess to be honest with you, you caught me off guard here because I guess it's because I care a lot that I want to share my experience over the last 37 plus years. So if I have expertise that I can give back to communities, if I can help young people, I don't care what stage of the game you're in your life, that's probably the most fun I've had. And really, to be honest with you, writing these books were kind of a legacy for me, for my children. And so I didn't get into it to sell books. I got into it again, that if I could impact even one person through my side hustles, I win. Or one company, or one local or small or large business, I win.
Love that. I love that. It's that the contribution, the creating impact, the serving aspect of is huge. And I think we come, between you and I and no one else is listening, I think we come to a phase or stage in our lives where that becomes more important, where we know that the contribution is just, we need more and we need deeper. And I think it becomes more, maybe more so than when we're in our 20s and, all those other things we do in our 20s. For those of you who are in your 20s listening. So I love that. And I know you to be a deep servant leader. So I love your answer. And I know that you walk the talk. Question number 3. Now, this is always an interesting one. This is one of my favorite questions. I'm a pattern guy. I'm a systems guy. So I love this question. We hear from business owners. They're getting so much business right now that sometimes the chaos causes overwhelm. I know you've seen that in sales at times. Well, I'd love to hear your thoughts, your perspective on that, Chip.
Well, obviously, since I have side hustles and I don't spend 100% of my time, and again, I want to make sure it's clear, it's also my side hustles are performed or I go after it outside of my business, my current day gig. So I want to make that very, very clear. So maybe I don't see the chaos as much as someone else does, but I don't know if it's chaos. I believe It is the fact if you're organized, use your time wisely, and you love what you do, and you have a passion, there shouldn't be any chaos because you should be able to fit it into your day's time, whether or not it's on weekends, at nighttime, after midnight, it doesn't matter. Because if you really love what you do, you're not going to let yourself fail. And I just believe that that word should be taken out. It's not, as far as I'm concerned, there is no such thing as chaos, especially with the businesses if you really love what you do.
I love your perspective. I love that you shared that. And we all get the same 24/7 in a day, in a week, in a year as anybody else, right? And if you love what you do and it's important, then how can you not make time for it? I love it, Chip. I love it. Question number 4. We're zipping through these. Great job. What other successful business owners like yourself, of course, should be on the Unlimited Wisdom podcast?
Well, I'll name a couple of them I thought about. Melanie Ake, or Ake, A-K-E. I think you know her, Brad.
Of course.
The reason why I say that is because she started with a 50s and 50s podcast. I think at the age of 50 is what her goal was. I was on her first podcast, or one of her first events she had, that she invited different speakers and stuff. And she's really grown as a coach and a leader. And I think she'd be a great addition to your show.
Who doesn't love Melanie?
What'd you say?
Who doesn't love Melanie? We all love Melanie.
Love Melanie. I agree. And the other thing is another person is a guy by the name of Dan Sands. He has a consulting company called Factor 7, and just as great, has been CEO of companies. He's fascinating. He's a wealth of knowledge, and I think he'd be a great addition to your show. Yes.
Love it. Thank you for both of those, Chip. Let's get to some wisdom. What do you think?
Oh, you want some wisdom finally? Go ahead.
Question number 5. What piece of wisdom would you share from your vast experience in sales and all the things you've done in your career? What piece of wisdom would you share with other business owners, Chip?
Yeah, I think this is really, really important for these entrepreneurs and people who are engaged and have these businesses. Is I call it the 5 principles of business success. And we'll go through it pretty quickly. 1 is following up plus following through equals success. And what do I mean by that? There are 2 things I think about like that. You know, do what you say you're going to do, and do it when you say you're going to do it. And have this urgency in your mind, both professionally and personally. And I'm talking about with emails, text messages, phone calls. It doesn't matter. Get back to people. If you have an urgency in your head, then maybe 24 hours is okay. But in my 36 years or 37 years plus, I've never been that busy that I couldn't get back to people. And that is what I call Johnny on the spot. The other thing is to be on time is to be early. So if you want to get promoted, if you want to make more money, if you want to get your employees as business owners, if they come to your meetings early, that always wins and that always shines out. And those are the people you want on your team. Number 2 is the art of, well, not art, I'll say, but relationship building. And I think that is probably the key of all keys. And I believe that you've got to understand how to build these relationships and how to learn the skills. Examples, are you authentic? You know, do you have empathy or sympathy? Those are just some of the qualities in relationship building. I think the other day you reached out. I mean, I'm a firm believer about developing relationships with your boss and vice versa. And I call it rules of engagement. Sit down across the table with your boss or with your employees and figure out things like, how do you want to be communicated with? You know, how often do we need to talk, etc. I talk about the 3 C's in communication. That's constant, correct, and consistent communication. So, this kind of part of relationship building, because you've got to understand, this is part, if I'm a business owner and I'm listening right now, it's part of who you deal with your customers. You got to build those kind of relationships. And really, you got to sit down with your customers and have that rules of engagement too. Number 3, the art of networking. I call it swim with the sharks. And what do you mean swim with the sharks? But you think about a shark, it never stops moving. So we got to continue to move at meetings and whatever places you go for your business, to tap it in, to conventions, etc. And you need to walk around consistently and put your hand out. And you need to, you know, say hello. And, folks, we are getting back to the times where you will put your hands out again. And by the way, when I'm talking about networking, you still can network through virtual tools. I have a toolbox. It still has my phone skills. It still has a way to develop your relationships and networking through the Zoom calls. So I really believe that, and you can still create those emails and create those text messages that draw that networking in and help you. And I have a little trick, and I still use it. And I was taught it years ago that when I met someone, I don't care you meet them through Zoom or you meet them in person, you get back and you put their name in a little book and you put 2 things you remember about them in this book, and you keep this book forever. And I have books like that, so that when you run into this person a year later and you say, you remember that conversation we had about 6 months ago or a year ago? And the person looks at you and goes, what? You remember me? You remember those things? It makes unbelievable. So that really is, the art of, networking. And the last 2 are pretty simple. Passion. Most people don't have passions in their life. And as a business owner, you better figure out that passion, because if you have a passion and you have a love, then you won't let yourself fail. But you got to love it so much, that you won't let yourself fail. Like Brad, are you married? You're currently married?
Nope, currently single.
Okay. Do you have a girlfriend?
Currently not saying.
All right, well, let's say that you had. I'll
No,
pick on
I am.
you did.
I'm happy to share. No, I am pleasantly and happily single only right now by choice.
Okay, well, my point was I was trying to show was that if you had a girlfriend and you had that kind of passion side and that love for her inside of your, where, I just love her so much. Well, that's the same kind of passion and love that you want to have for your career and your job. Because if you do that, you never will have a job. So anyone out there listening, if you have a great relationship with a spouse, a partner, I don't care who it is, a girlfriend, boyfriend, doesn't matter. And you take that kind of love you feel for them and you move it over and you have the same kind of love and you want to do for your living, you'll never have a job. I've never had a job in my 36, 37 plus years. And lastly, it's attitude. My final principle to attitude, I wear a positive band all the time. I have to order some more from a Butler cancer student. And Butler, by the way, is located in Indiana, up near Indianapolis, Indiana. And you know what? When things go wrong, you've got to stay positive. You want to surround yourself with positive people. Jokingly aside, I have a sister-in-law who's pretty negative. Debbie Downer, I call her, or Nancy Negative. And when she comes visit us, and she and I are in the same room, she's so negative that I've got to leave the room. And actually, Brad, she's caused me to drink more. I have to go upstairs or go downstairs to drink because I can't handle the negativity. Brad, you're supposed to laugh during that. So
this doesn't sound like you.
hopefully that doesn't. Hopefully it doesn't. You have to edit that because she's just taking me to drinking because of her negativity. I have to get out of the room. But basically, it boils down to the attitude. You have got to have that kind of attitude. And I just think those 5, basic principles are principles that you have to live personally as well as professionally. And what I mean is that their behavior changes. There are things that have to become part of your behavior. And if they don't, then it's just not going to work. So those are some of my words of wisdom.
I love those. And I love the way you framed it. So I know this is natural to you. I know this. We've been connected for a number of years now. I think three, almost 4 years. And so you started to talk about the negativity. I was laughing inside, but I was saying, "Where's it going with this?" Because this is so not.
I was waiting for you. I thought you were going to crack up because usually I get more response from people when I say, "Darn, that person must be pretty negative to drive you to drinking." And
I thought this was a new side of you that I didn't know.
And by the way, there's a little truth to that comment too. By the way, because you know what, some people like that can have that kind of impact in your life if you're not careful.
That's so funny. That is hilarious. But I love that you called them principles because these are timeless principles that are they just don't change. That if you follow through with them, you implement them as principles in your life, non-negotiable principles, there's no way there's no way not to succeed, really. And so I love that you framed them as principles. These are 5 really powerful principles. And I think I heard a little smidgen of Harvey Mackay in there too. So for anybody that can remember,
It's funny you just said that. Harvey Mackay came to one of our sales meetings probably 30 plus years ago. And I think his book was called How to Swim with the Sharks, if I remember correctly.
how long I've been reading.
Yeah, but it's funny, and that had nothing to do with a great white shark. When I described the, how to network, but it's funny about that. And unfortunately, sorry, I'm not sure if Harvey will be ever re-listen to this, but he came with a canned presentation. So I always said to myself, when I get up and speak with people, and they always will tell me, I'm very impromptu. I never had a speech that's ever been canned. I can't do that. I got to do what the audience, needs and how I engage with those audience when I go and I speak. So no,
100%, 100%. No, I just got a chuckle out of that. You took me back like 30 years when I think that book came out. So,
well, it's funny you say that because he actually came and I was in the audience. I listened to him.
What really struck me the most out of all of those, so they're all fantastic and timeless principles. What struck me the most is the empathy. So one of the things that I know about you is, well, I certainly know, and you said it, I don't want people to overlook it, the difference between sympathy and empathy, but understanding that difference and being able to exercise empathy in today's market, in sales in particular, is huge. I would have hoped, I imagine you hope, that we would have come a little farther in the market and industry that we're in with regard to social selling and exercising more empathy throughout that. And I think you, unless I'm wrong, I think you have a book about this, don't you?
Yes, one of my, one book is called Everyday Sales Wisdom with my CHIPisms, which when I tell you something, I want you to remember, like, to be on time is to be early. Never forget that, those kind of CHIPisms. But there was another book I wrote, and kind of like a complement of each other, was bigger than sales. How humility, can you believe I put humility in the title was sales, and how humility in relationships build career success. And I do talk about leadership and through humility, and why people can't have more sympathy and empathy. And it's not what you say to someone, it's how you say it to someone. And I don't believe we will, the humble card. I mean, I love for all your listeners, I love the song by Tim McGraw, Humble and Kind. And one of my CHIPisms, how the old adage is, treat people like you want to be treated. The CHIPism is treat people like they want to be treated. Again, treat people like they want to be treated. And so I think we've gotten away from that. I hope we come back, because you can be a hell of a leader. And the biggest quality that I believe a leader can have is when a leader wants to get you from A to Z. So any business owner out there right now, you say they're all business owners listening, I hope you want your employees to get to A to Z. I hope you want them to take over your job. I hope you want them to be the best of the best, because if you do, then that's a true leader. And I'll leave you with this. The greatest thing I've heard probably in the last couple of years from a very big business leader, runs a huge car dealership. He said the following, and I think this is just so important. He said, and this is what he said: treat your employees, again, treat your employees like you want them to treat their customers. You got that? Treat your employees like you want your employees to treat your customers. So what's that mean? It means you treat them pretty darn good, because that's how you're supposed to treat the customer. So if you treat your employees good, they're not going to go away. They're going to stay with you. So I just thought that was one of the best messages I've ever heard. And I asked a guy, my friend, a close friend, can I use that in my next book? He laughed. I laughed, and he said, go for it. And you know what? It probably will show up somewhere in my next book. And no, I can't tell you. If you're going to ask me, I can't tell you. I'd have to kill you to tell you what my next book will be about. But let's just say that I'm going to be bringing in personal components into this book, as well as really honing in on some things that I feel like need to be talked about, that kind of, again, come through from my last two books. So it'll be a nice sequence of what I bring, because, I'm a real believer of family. I think family is number one, no matter what kind of business you're involved in. And, people ask me all the time, how come I'm 3 for 3? And I'm going, what do you mean I'm 3 for 3? Because, well, you got 3 children. Yeah, I got 3 children. They're tough. And I got 2 boys and a girl. Yeah, I got 2 boys and a girl. But what's this 3 for 3? He says, well, let's see. Your oldest is an orthopedic surgeon resident. Okay, fair enough. Your second's a daughter, and she's a veterinarian. Okay, I think I see where you're going with this. And your third's in dental school. So there you go. You got 2 doctors, and you got 1 doctor. So how in the heck did you do it? So there's some things growing up and things that I want to bring in that I believe help you with your work-life balance. And maybe that will help with people who have children, who also are business owners. So
absolutely love it. I know everything you write, and you speak from the heart as well. And again, you walk the talk. So I appreciate you sharing all that. Let's switch gears really fast, because I know you, and you and I can talk business forever. What is the most fun vacation you've ever had, Chip? You were just talking about family and things. I bet you have a great vacation you'd like to share.
Can I give you 2 vacations?
You can.
Can I be the first one who gives you 2 instead of 1? One is the priceless one of Hawaii. It's probably my favorite place in the world to go, besides northern Michigan, where I have a summer home. And I'm talking a vacation. I don't treat my summer home as vacation. It's like our home. But Hawaii is priceless to me, because I can get out there, and I've lived in Florida, and I've gone to Bahamas. It's nothing like it. I can just be myself, and I can put my hair down, what little hair I have left. And, I can just enjoy time. So that's the fun part. That's a really fun. And my kids were with us, and always bring the kids along on vacation. But probably the last one that is probably one of the most fun. Unfortunately, my wife couldn't make it with us because she was ill at the time. But I took my 3 kids to Mexico, and had one of those all-inclusive, vacations. And the fact that they could just eat everything they wanted. Oh, they love that. And they were older than 21. So obviously, if they wanted to have a few brewskis, as I call them, or a cocktail or 2, they could. But it was all about watching my 2 boys eat and eat and eat and eat again. And so I'd say that those are probably vacations that I cherish. Yeah.
I love it.
I forgot about your last question, by the way. I forgot you had that additional question you were going to ask me at the very end.
Yeah, for anybody listening, if you ever wonder why we do that, it's because we work to live, not live to work. And so, it's really nice to hear some aspects of like why we're doing all this business stuff. That's what it's about. So Chip, I appreciate you. And I know this is an investment of your time to be on and just, invest together. I appreciate that. What's the website or social media, or when, somebody wants one of your great books, how do they get in touch with you if somebody has a question or if they want to reach out?
Well, I mean, my website's 𝐄𝐱𝐞𝐫𝐜𝐢𝐬𝐿.com. So that's not, again, 𝐄𝐱𝐞𝐫𝐿.com. I mean, I mentor a lot of folks, so I have no problem being contacted by email. So it's 𝐄𝐱𝐞𝐫𝐿16. Again, 𝐄𝐱𝐞𝐫𝐿16@gmail.com. And to be honest with you, I take every phone call. Like I said, I get back to people, but 812-947-3588. And yes, I do get back. And it's interesting about one last comment about getting back, since I'm offering my cell number, which is, by the way, my personal phone number and my personal email address, is that, people only want to be acknowledged. I think people don't want to get back because they don't have the answer to the question, or the answer that they're looking for. That's not what this is all about. People just want to be acknowledged, that you heard them, that you got their message, that you got them. That's it. And then lastly, and this is really kind of sad because I think it's across most industries. They did statistics and done studies around it, but people don't get back, obviously. And probably, I think 25% of the people across all industries do. And it's sad because you choose not to get back to somebody. I hate saying it, but it's right on. It's spot on. You choose. You, Brad, choose not to get back. Or Chip, you choose not to get back to somebody. It's a choice. And unfortunately, most people make the choice of not getting back. And I believe that all business owners on this call, I hope they're listening, because the greatest advice I can give you for your employees to cut. If you get back to people, you'll have more money than you could shake a stick at, and you'll be cat in the Bahamas. It's the problem that people don't get back, and they choose not to get back. So if you get back, people remember you and they want to do business with you.
Love it, Chip. You dropped a lot of information, a lot of good nuggets. So I hope everybody watching and listening just really take it in. So, I mean, fortune in the follow-up, you talked about conscientiousness, you talked about the principles, like some deep stuff, Chip. I knew you would, and it's great to have you on. This is Brad A. Milford. Oh, go ahead.
No, I appreciate it, because I'm not, like you say, you're a complete, business owner that does it, the 100% of their time. And I appreciate you bringing on someone like me who is maybe a little guy, but you know what? There are little guys that got to get started, and someday hopefully I'll be a big guy, but that's okay right now. That's okay.
I don't know anybody that would call you a little guy, Chip. I do enjoy your humor, my friend. This has been great. This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where business owners making, that's right, 5, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures. Look, it's not all about the money. It's about sharing their wisdom and creating impact globally. Thanks for joining us.